What is going on in Oak Park? At least 2 cars have crashed into a senior living apartment complex in just the past week. And there have also been some deadly crashes just over the years. It's an issue that we have been covering on ABC 10 for years. The complex sits on the corner of Broadway and MLK Boulevard, and residents there say it's a car magnet. And now one resident says that she's moving out. Here's Jay Kim with tonight's main point.
That's an issue with them speeding down, and there's a curb right there, and they got to turn that curb, and they hit the building.
For the past 9 years, Connie Hill has been living at the Arbors at Oak Park, a senior living apartment complex at Broadway and MLK Boulevard. The building sits near the end of a Y intersection.
We've had cars that ran into something over here every year.
The issue is so concerning that Hill is now planning to move out. She's worried about her safety. At least 10 cars have crashed into the building since 2014. Some of those accidents were deadly. Within the past week, 2 cars crashed into the complex in separate incidents. Hill says reckless drivers are to blame.
We all had to be evacuated out of the building because his car ran into this here building here, that bottom here, and caught on fire. When they come around this curve here, coming from that place, and they swerve around here, they always hit something in the front of the building. A lot of drivers do. They might, like damage the building where it might collapse. I mean, that's how afraid I am.
On top of speeding drivers, some Oak Park residents also believe gentrification is a contributing factor to the growing problem. They've been calling on the city of Sacramento to improve road safety measures in the area for years.
They need to straighten out the lines so they can go straight, because it's like a loop. This is the first time that they had this much construction since I've been here.
In a statement sent to ABC 10 last December, the city said in part, the Department of Public Works is actively working to implement improvements on Broadway between MLK Jr. Boulevard and Stockton Boulevard. This area is one of 5 priority areas in the city where change needs to happen. It's an area with one of the highest numbers of deadly and serious crashes. Some of the proposed improvements include things like more visible crosswalks and new traffic signals. In the meantime, Hill is urging all drivers in the area to take it slow to prevent crashes and save lives.
These people out here, they drive fast, and they need to slow down, especially coming around that curb there.
Well, I've seen lots of people driving fast. All right. We also reached out to the city of Sacramento again this morning to see what safety improvements have been made on that stretch of road just over the past year. We have not heard back just yet, but this is a story that we will continue to follow. All right, about an hour ago, Sacramento leaders unanimously approved an agreement to combat homelessness together. The plan includes hundreds of additional shelter beds in the next few years, along with behavioral health centers throughout the city and the county. Now, the city will also fund 25 community response encampment workers, but none of what is being discussed will be built in time for this winter. Some 9,300 people are experiencing homelessness throughout Sacramento County, and there are only about 1,300 beds for all of those folks. Becca Habegger brings us the stories of the people who are living on the streets right now, who are bracing for yet another bitter cold winter that will be spent outside.
It's hella cold outside. I live outside, and it's not easy. It's kind of hard, you know what I'm saying? We, us as a community, we struggle for what we got.
This man, who lives near Sacramento City Hall and tells us he's known just as KC, says he's been homeless since he was 11. That's years of winters spent outside.
The last little rainstorm that they had, the water's going all around me. It came up under my tent and started soaking everything from the bottom up. So for the past 4 or 5 days, I've been soaked. It's not cool. It sucks. I mean, it sucks. You get wet, you can't get dry.
Now it's really gotten cold. Yeah. So I have to get inside.
Deborah Dixon, also near Sacramento City Hall, says she's been unhoused for about 5 years. She says she's using one of the temporary overnight shelters on these cold nights. The city has 2. The county has 1 for walk-ins. The county also has a motel voucher program and North A shelter expansion, both referral only. But all these options are just temporary. And a couple of the county's tiny home projects originally slated to be open around now have been delayed, meaning no additional permanent supportive housing will be added for people this winter. We asked Casey what he'd like to say to city and county leaders.
You guys got hella open lots, so start putting those little tiny houses on them so we can be inside. I mean, I think it cut back on seeing us in the public eye.
Seeing us in the public eye, he says, acknowledging that adding housing for the unhoused benefits not only them, but also anyone who sees these tent communities as a public eyesore and safety or health concern.
Becca's joining us again. Permanent housing solutions aren't in the immediate future. What about some temporary solutions, especially with all of this cold weather?
Right. Well, the city and the county, they say they're monitoring the forecast, the National Weather Service, and they have the possibility to extend the dates of their existing shelters, or they could even open new shelters. Currently in terms of temporary weather-related beds between the county and the city, combined total, there are about 100 beds that are available right now for walk-ins. These shelters, these temporary cold weather shelters, they typically open when the forecast meets certain criteria the city and the county follow. For example, 2 of the next 5 nights in the forecast reach 37 degrees or colder, and then those shelters, they close once the weather gets a little bit better. Perhaps we should say a little bit less bad. If you're sleeping out in 39-degree weather, it's not like that's warm by any means.
Yeah.
But of course, housing advocates say permanent shelters, permanent supportive housing, that's what we need. And we need it yesterday, right?
Yeah. And if you joined us yesterday, we reported on a man who died due to hypothermia who was sleeping outside. Can you remind everyone again what people should do if they do see someone who might be on the sidewalk freezing, especially during this time?
For sure. I know in both hot weather and cold weather, I have passed people on the street who seem, I don't know if they're passed out, if they're sleeping, or something even worse.
Yes.
The city says in a situation like that, go ahead, call 911. If it's a matter of life and death, or potentially life and death, call 911.
Call. All right, Becca, thank you. We appreciate it as always. And there is more cold on the way. This is not slowing down anytime soon. Carly, how's the outlook looking for the rest of the week?
Yeah, and a good point to bring up as well, as even as Becca said, temperatures even above that 37, 38 degree mark. It's still cold at 39, but one more element to add. Even if the rain stops, like it is tonight, we're getting clear skies, but we're still developing fog out there. And fog is a mist in the air, which adds to that damper effect, making it cold on the skin. So now you're wet once again. With that cooled air at 39 degrees, wet skin, you are truly freezing at that point. Let's talk about the fog. It is coming in the early morning hours as we start to see it up and down I-5. It's really Sacramento South, 3 to 4 miles in visibility, but just off the path there onto county roads, you'll see some of those visibilities down to about a quarter mile. Things will start clearing out by mid-morning. And we do have rain on the way. That starts on Thursday. It's going to start coming in from the northwest and hitting our area after 3 p.m. More snow development higher up. You're looking at some of that snow total, a few inches or so, up to 6 inches, maybe a foot, but that'll be way further north, northern Sierra spots. Clearing once again into Friday before we get the bigger storm headed our way once again Saturday. That'll be a huge day for us Saturday, Sunday, and then possibly lingering into Monday morning. We could see additional 2 to 4 feet of snow for the Sierra and even anywhere from 1 to 3 inches of rain from the valley to the foothills.
All right, Carly, thank you. How can California even begin to meet the demand for affordable housing? One state lawmaker is proposing we loosen up on the rules. We'll have more after the break. Community organization California YIMBY, or Yes in My Backyard, says that the state could learn a thing or two from Houston, Texas, when it comes to our housing crisis. So their new report highlights Houston's lack of traditional zoning laws in their successful construction of affordable housing, something that has helped them get thousands of unhoused people off the streets. Today, State Senator Scott Wiener announced a bill that could move California in the same direction, and his bill would automatically zone the excess land of religious institutions and not-for-profit colleges for affordable housing. But new Republican Assemblymember Joe Patterson agrees that zoning laws do need to be changed, but is worried that this approach may be just a little too simplified.
think we would need more targeted approach to the areas where they're not doing their part to meet the housing obligations, where a place like, Placer County, for example, is doing its role and really should still be able to maintain that local discretion.
And this bill would also just be the beginning of California zoning reform. Senator Wiener says that he does not plan to stop with religious buildings and nonprofit colleges. After the break, we're hearing from you tonight. One viewer says that she is depressed at all the trash that she sees on the road. So we found out this might be because the state is actually trying to clean things up. We always get our best story tips when we hear from you at home. And we were posed an interesting question recently. A viewer wrote in saying, in part, I don't even want to leave my house anymore because wherever I drive, I'm depressed at all the trash I see. Is there something that we can do to fix this problem and clean it up? And we thought that was a great question. So, of course, we looked into it. Well, I did more than look into it, I should say. I spent the entire day with Caltrans picking up trash. And they told me that you might see more trash because they are cleaning up more, so it's pretty visible. And a multi-year program is helping them clean things up, too. Well, we're going out with Caltrans today. I'm here with Kevin. How much trash are we talking about that's on the roadways here?
Well, I guess we'll find out when we get there, but our crews are out there right now working hard, and I'm sure we're going to see quite a bit of opportunity for you and I to pick up some trash with them.
Trash. All right, let's go.
Okay.
Well, are we actually seeing more trash on the street?
To a certain extent. I think a lot of people are more, they've observed that there's large piles of trash on the side of our highways, and a lot of that is due to the fact that we have extra funding now from Clean California. And so we've had a lot more crews out on the road picking up trash. So instead of the trash being scattered along a freeway, it's a little bit more pronounced because you do have these piles of trash bags that are piled up on the side of the road. And we do want people to observe that.
I do want to ask you about Clean California. In the simplest of terms, Clean California is really to beautify California, get the trash off the streets. But what is it actually doing on the basic level of terms?
So Clean California is a $1.2 billion initiative that was passed by the governor and the state legislature about 18 months ago, in the summer of 2021. And basically it's an infusion of money to basically educate Californians about the importance of taking care of litter, but it also provides crews that come out and pick up the litter. We also have problems with illegal dumping as well. So people who feel that they can't afford to go to a landfill or properly dispose of large items that may not fit in a regular trash bin will illegally dump them along roadways or rest areas.
What does staffing look like? Is Caltrans short-staffed right now? Are you guys hiring? Are there enough people to clean all the roadways and all the trash?
Well, and that's a big part of the Clean California initiative too, is increasing jobs. So, we are hiring entry-level positions.
I've been out with Caltrans this afternoon, and there has not been a shortage of trash. Take a look at all of these piles that we've seen just in this area right here that they've collected today. There's not a lot of women doing this.
No, definitely not.
And how long have you been doing it?
A year and a couple months. And I've never had a job to where they'll say that they, family first. It's actually that way here.
You feel like they actually mean it?
They do. They've helped me out. One of my kids had an issue, and they're all accommodating, and they went on for a couple months, and they were just like really, really good for me.
What's the best part about your job?
The people I work with.
Why do you say that? You're smiling really big right now.
Well, we have our team, and we all do really good together, and we have our inside jokes. And
so you're saying you like working with these guys?
I do.
Thanks for letting me hang with you.
Yeah,
I appreciate it. She was so sweet. I had a great day. And before we move on, I do want to say all of this is more than an eyesore. When you throw trash on the side of the road, it can block up storm drains and cause water to pool, which can all lead to dangerous conditions on our roadways. So please, before you toss something out of the window, remember it impacts our environment and our roadways. All right, following up on a story that we first brought you last night, now through February are the peak months for house fires caused by people trying to heat their homes. And tonight, as our race and culture reporter Candace Redd explains, communities of color are at most risk nationwide.
Okay, guys, we're going to talk about fire safety, okay?
Latasha and Matt Griffin, who live in Sacramento County, say they want to keep their children safe at all times.
We have talked about recently with our children what to do in the case of a fire in the home. We always tell them, like, leave the dogs will come find us, and then just get to a neighbor's home and try to call for help.
The National Fire Protection Association says there's a home fire every 93 seconds.
Do you do fire drills at school?
Yeah.
You do? Mm-hmm. Do you do fire drills at home?
No.
That is something that I definitely will do now, and it's very important to do because it's the difference of when you talk about it. Like, we've talked about it, we know where the doors are X. My daughter knows where the fire extinguishers are.
The main thing is just to get to safety.
The Griffins say they test their smoke and carbon monoxide alarms often.
We do. We have several smoke alarms. They're in pretty much all the rooms, the hallways, the bathrooms, and all the bedrooms, and in the kitchen and the front room as well.
Firefighters with the Sacramento Fire Department responded to 850 home fires so far this year. 6 were deadly.
It's rare that we see a fire fatality when there's a working smoke detector in the house. Smoke detectors save lives. We know that. When they sleep at night, everyone should close your bedroom door. When a fire occurs, the smoke's going to try to drift into the room. It keeps you semi-safe and gives you the option to wake up and get out of the home.
The U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission says Black people have the highest rate of home fire deaths and injuries nationwide. The government agency released this report last year. It shows Black people represented 13% of the population, yet made up 24% of home fire deaths and 27% of home fire injuries.
It's because of the conditions we're living in.
Community leader Rashid Siddiq says the disparities exist in part due to structural racism in the U.S. housing system, like historic redlining and lack of investment in marginalized communities.
Part of that is some of the slumlords that are not taking care of these properties that most of our Black community is living in.
Siddiq says the lack of diversity plays a role too, since Black people only represent 8% of firefighters in the U.S.
If we don't have those folks come into our communities telling us about fire safety, I think we're doing ourselves an injustice.
We need to do better as a fire department, not only here but across the nation, of messaging these communities, letting them know there's ways to stay safe.
All right, everybody get back.
When it comes to fire safety, the Griffins say they're going to do their part too.
Absolutely. Any chance that I can prevent any death or for accidental fire or anything like that, absolutely. I'll take whatever measures we need to.
And other communities impacted most by home fire deaths include those who live below the poverty line and people with disabilities, along with Native Americans. All right, and speaking about all this cooler weather and people trying to warm up, let's take a look at our Gilmore backyard here, taking a look at our current temperatures. Sacramento seeing 51, Stockton at 49, but I want to get straight to the 10-day forecast because we have a series of 2 storms that are heading our way. We have one coming in possibly Thursday and then Saturday to Sunday, so we could see some precipitation this weekend. It's an interview you will only see here on ABC 10. Our Firepower Money team has spent years exposing how California's state government protected PG&E from the consequences of its crimes. So PG&E pleaded guilty to reckless arson and 84 felony counts of manslaughter for starting the Camp Fire back in 2018. Tomorrow, we are bringing you an exclusive interview with PG&E's former top state regulator. She says her former agency and the rest of the state government needs to change course or more Californians will get burned.
So PG&E has a problem, it's criminal, and the state is playing enabler.
Absolutely. The state of California moved mountains and weakened the law in order to protect the ability of PG&E to make a profit.
We'll have our interview with former CPUC President Loretta Lynch right here on To The Point tomorrow. And it does matter to fire survivors and to everyone who is paying a PG&E bill. And also, I want to mention before we go here, there is still time to donate to ABC 10's Stand Against Hunger campaign. It is your chance to make a difference in the lives of more than 1 million people who don't know where their next meal is going to come from. So it runs right now through December 18th. You have plenty of time. All you have to do, super simple, text the word hunger to 916-321-3310, and we'll send all the details that you need to know to be able to help out. And because of your generosity, we've already raised $142,000 for local food banks to help feed those people who are in need for the holidays. So just want to say thank you so much for keeping the spirit of giving alive. We really do appreciate it. Thank you so much for spending your night with us. We really appreciate it. Make sure you reach out to me and the team. We really love to hear from you. And thank you so much. Have a great night. Hey, it's Alex. Just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. I really love hearing from everyone, and I hope that you'll stay in touch. Reach out to me on Facebook at AlexBellTV, or you can email me at tothepoint@abc10.com, or you can even send me a text message at 916-321-3310.